like to call the Leominster Planning Board to order for October 21st, 2019, at 6:30 meeting. Okay, just want to make a note that the Leominster Planning Board is the board of permitted uses. Okay.
Chair, did you want to read?
No, that's good.
No?
We'll do it next time. Okay, 6:30 hearing, the continued public hearing, definitive subdivision approval for Murray Avenue Extension, 1157 rear Main Street.
Yes.
We have a letter here requesting an extension to that to
December 16th.
what was it?
December 16th?
To December 16th.
I move we table that till December 16th.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded.
Yes.
Just for
Do you
general
want to do a
information.
time?
At 6:30.
General information is that primarily there are some wetlands issues that are being worked out by the Conservation Commission, so we're waiting for an input from that. Okay, thank you. I have a motion made and seconded to continue to December 16th at 6:30. Any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. We'll go to the regular meeting. Call to order.
Patrick Perla?
Here.
Fred Fredericks?
Here.
Paul Weiser?
Here.
Salvatore Tripodi?
Here.
John Souza?
Yeah.
Carol Vittorioso?
Here.
Thomas Carrigan?
Here.
Minutes of previous meeting, September 16th, 2019.
Make a motion to accept them.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes as submitted. Okay, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Great job.
Yeah, they're very
Detailed.
detailed.
Good job.
You missed where I punched Sal, but you did okay.
Yeah, but the other one can't.
Okay.
The word from the lawsuit.
I have a motion made and seconded to accept the minutes. Any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Plan submitted, 3.1. Site plan approval for 391 Pleasant Street.
Right.
Has to be scheduled.
Chair, this needs to be scheduled. This is an application for a residential on-site solar system.
Okay. And could that be scheduled for the 16th? Do we need,
September
is that
16th.
special? That's not special permit.
No, we have a meeting on the 18th. But that's
November 18th.
I mean, November 18th.
November 18th. Yep. We have a special permit tied to it. So for advertising,
Do you have time?
The 18th will work for advertising.
The 18th works for advertising? Okay.
It's a month.
Okay, fine.
So the first one at
That'd be the first one, be 6:30.
6:30.
Motion would be in order for a site plan for 391 Pleasant Street for 6:30 on November 18th. Any discussion? I need that motion. Motion. Motion, no, I entertain it. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Here none, call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say no. Motion carries. Special permit approval for 391 Pleasant Street. That would also be November 18th at 6:35.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for November 18th at 6:35. Any further discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say no. Motion carries. A&R approval for Lanity's Lane, map 29, lot 1C.
Chair, just quickly, for this application, I asked for something a little different. An extra set of plans from the applicant, showing the existing conditions of the property, because our GIS system is not presently updated to show those conditions, and we couldn't do an evaluation of
okay.
it without an existing condition. And then there's proposed conditions. Do you wanna?
Sure.
I'll do one and you do one. So if you
I
give
did some
this,
other, 17 times.
do you wanna share or do you wanna have, everybody-
Sure.
So you get some small ones?
Yeah.
Oh, we got
Good.
that's one's existing and one is
That's
proposed.
what he wants to do, what he wants to do. Okay.
It helps, it makes more sense if you can look at both rather than. Are you in?
Sure.
Okay.
And there is no written staff report for this. My verbal staff report is that we need to confirm that there's appropriate frontage on a public way.
Okay.
Steve Dowd from Wetland Minimum. This is 12 Langley's Lane. In those 11 by 17s, the top one is when the lot was first cut out. Yeah. And then 3 years ago, they subdivided it, created a parcel, 3 feet 8 to the land in the back. That's the second 11 by 17.
So this land here was gonna be
Correct.
to go to that?
Yep.
Okay.
That plan was recorded, but they never acted on it. They never conveyed anything. But the GIS, if you look at it, appears that it did. The conveyance went through.
So the paperwork went through the GIS system,
The plan. And
the
then
plan did,
But there was no.
and they picked it up, but it was never recorded.
That building's gone that was there, right? Is that lot two, lot two? It's lot two,
Right,
and this is lot two.
right. But that's not what we're subdividing. We're subdividing the same lot, just a different configuration for the non-buildable parcel.
So you're gonna go back to the,
Well, this is what they want to do now. They're doing similar to what they did 3 years ago. Conveying, but they want a non-buildable parcel to be combined with the real lot.
Is the only difference, is the width of the frontage?
Yes. Well, the back, and it goes behind this lot. It's took a little more. Before it was a even strip. Now they're coming behind this lot. So they're creating a lot around the building and then a non-buildable parcel.
so from that lot line to this. Wait a minute. So this is a whole new lot here, this little parcel A,
It's a new configuration of parcel.
Why did you do that? This one.
and that gives them frontage, that's only 38 feet though.
That's not a
Minimum
buildable
lot
parcel.
frontage is
That's gonna be
30.
conveyed to this.
And that's gonna be conveyed to these guys?
Correct.
And where are they gonna use that for, right away?
Yes, and some parking, I believe.
And where's the frontage gonna be?
So this is the other policy. This
Oh.
is 38, that's the frontage.
Rail lot
So this is industrial, right? What's the required frontage for industrial?
Records there to be making this 8 feet.
Frontage 30 feet, that's what I thought, yeah.
So when that lot gets conveyed.
So this becomes their frontage for this back lot?
For this back lot here.
Creating parcel A.
Okay.
Main part lot here, and that will be combined with that.
And lot A
One.
is 17,000, that's
And this is
sufficient.
cutting this
Yeah.
out.
Okay, B is 12 and up, okay.
So, 1A, no, that's the old one. So lot 1A this is lot 1A that you created.
Right.
And this part is part of,
This?
No,
Part of this.
this is part of
Right now, it'll be individual, and later on, it'll be conveyed.
Which is here, this line. Because the two lots that they're gonna take in line. This second lot is this one, it's still didn't change. They took they were gonna take a sliver out. So this 215 feet is this
41,000.
Okay.
30,000. So
This is even again.
No, this isn't there.
It is.
It's a separate.
The one in the back will be a building. This will give you frontage to one in the back.
This will be combined with this, so the 30. it's
So this will be combined with
I-
this.
Correct.
What's combined?
And this will give you how
This
much?
parcel that we're creating.
Yes, it's
will be
combined.
combined with this.
And how much frontage will that give you?
38 feet, you only need 30.
Okay. So you have to take this out to understand.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I make a motion to endorse.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to endorse. Do I have any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Old business, Murray Avenue extension that has been continued. And we have to wait to 6:45 for, we could go down to, 6.1. Okay. Summit Estates, Liggett Hill status and update. We had a site walk, where we had a number of members who went to that. I'm sorry I couldn't make it that day, I was sick. But I'm gonna ask Mr. Pro, there's the minutes, and to give a synopsis of what you found and what you did there.
I think my colleagues would agree that we arrived there right around 2 o'clock. Mr. Exaris kind of gave us a general overview and a description of the project. Pointed out we were at the entrance closest to Central Street, and at that entrance point there was some infrastructure there that looked to be in good condition. There's a retention pond that he pointed out in the back corner and made some description of that. We had took the opportunity to walk the property and saw that the other infrastructure that was there and in place, that had been in place for some time, appeared to be in good condition. He described having the hope that he would have access to the pump station that's going to facilitate the project legally very soon. He stated within the next couple of weeks. He was hoping to have access to that himself.
That's the one from J-Tech Park, correct?
Correct. J-Tech Park Pump Station. There would be 23 lots. It would reflect the as-built plans. And he's working with DPW and Mr. Koivu to make sure that they do all the water pressure testing and infrastructure testing to make sure everything is up to current code. And if there's anything that needs to be done, he said that he would be willing to do that. So
Okay.
there were some neighbors there. No, there was a couple questions about clearing and how much buffer there might be between properties along Leggett Hill Road and the project. And he stated that, he was hoping to leave, I think he stated something like a 12-foot buffer.
he was gonna,
Where that
he
was an
wasn't
option.
gonna clear cut things.
Yeah.
He was leaving a buffer. and-
Well, you still have to have a 20-foot buffer.
He's got, I think he's got the 20-foot, and then the other people, well, some of the people that were there, they have an additional buffer
Oh,
on
okay.
their property, because they have a bigger lot. The other thing is, the way the lots are situated on the plan, you couldn't change those now if you wanted to, because the infrastructure is pretty well complete. And it's all ledge in there, so you don't want to do any more blasting.
Yeah, there's no more blasting.
Yeah, and it looked pretty good. It looked really good, actually.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So what do we want to do? I think the discussion there is, do we want to have another hearing to open it up? Or do we just want to continue with the project? I mean, these are options we can, we can have what we call a general information hearing. But we're pretty much, the plans that we have today, the only thing that I understand that should be changed or corrected is it should be brought up to date to all the new water quality standards. And then we can make that requirement, okay? And the new state drainage calculations. So that the drawings would have to be updated, so, the detention pond maybe have to be larger or moved to another place, or there are other things that.
I really don't know if you could do that.
I think we have to, okay, because we have a number of situations here. We're talking about 18 years.
Well, it doesn't mean that the detention line has to be moved.
It may not, it may have to go deeper. Okay, it might be deeper, it might be, new riprap, and brought it up to the, 18 years, because we have to bring it up to the water quality standards for the state.
And I think he was very willing to.
Well, no,
I would echo that. It seemed like,
yeah,
I don't see why we wouldn't do that, and I think
there didn't seem to be an issue when we talked to him before.
Yep.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate that, to know that that's where we stand. And with that, most of the infrastructure is in. I was there today, and you can walk through there. You got a forward drive. I wouldn't take a car in there, but you can see most of the manholes. They're up a foot and a half in some cases, where the graders be brought up to them for the roads and stuff like that. But and I could make the loop back to Liggett Hill, but the section going down to Route 12 had not been cleared. Okay, so I think that that's where we stand on that. That's what you guys see and what we see. I don't. This is not a hearing, so I can't open it up for a hearing. Okay, unless I advertise it. So.
I don't think it needs a hearing.
So what are we gonna do with it?
Well, the only thing is that if we have a hearing, is it gives, like I said, it's been 18 years. At a hearing we can take, and I think we can make the decision now, but give an update on the order of conditions, okay? And that's what we have to do, is we have to update the conditions. We don't know if there's any additional situation that may have occurred in the last 18 years that we have to address. That's what I don't know. If there's something that, I don't want any surprises coming out of the woodwork. And that's what I'm concerned. What's that?
Isn't that the DPW's job to tell us
Well, as far as the roadway is concerned.
what he needs to change or update or
Yeah,
whatever?
the DPW will do that. He has to work with the DPW, and they're responsible. DPW and actually the Conservation Commission are responsible for the water quality standards. So that has to be taken care of.
I don't think we have to do anything.
I don't either.
So we could add that as a condition.
You
If you're gonna add a condition, you have to have a hearing though.
That's right. See, that's, I have to add conditions, I have to have a hearing.
No, he needs to work with the DPW.
That's right.
So we know what conditions we're talking about.
And he already said he had met with the DPW,
Yeah.
and they had told him what he needed, and he was gonna be in full
Yeah.
compliance.
It's a shame.
But, I want to get that documented,
Writing.
Well, that's fine.
okay? So that's the only thing that I say there.
You have to be in touch with the DPW.
Yeah, and then the DPW will come back with the drawings and then it documents it. So this is strictly discussion, it's not a hearing, but I can't make conditions without a hearing. Okay, so, but we want to make the conditions so we bring them up to date and that we make sure that there are no surprises out there.
What's the calendar look like for the next meeting?
Well, if you're gonna have a public hearing, we need to advertise. We have I've coordinated with city departments to try to move as quickly as possible in this, so we do have an abutters list from the assessor's office available if the $30 fee is paid, which can be addressed in very quickly.
I have a question though, before we even get that far. If it's considered a minor change, then that would.
We don't, Sal, the problem is I don't at this point if I have a minor or a major change.
Right, so perhaps,
Yeah.
So let's wait and see what the DPW says.
Yes, and
That's anything.
see, and they can come into it, but I have to have the hearing to make the decision, okay? So that we
Well,
can,
hearing, so we
Can't have a
know what
hearing
the
till we
decision
know
is.
well, the DPW can come back to us at that meeting.
Wasn't there
and say-
communication from the DPW though?
There was.
In the
It
last
was
packet.
forwarded to.
And wasn't there a chain of emails about the compliance with the new water regs?
They said that they would agree to it, but I haven't seen drawings to that effect.
We
They've
have not
agreed to
received
everything, but you gotta have the paperwork. You gotta have the drawings to follow up. Because if it doesn't happen, then we have no recourse.
then I think perhaps we should wait until they submit whatever they want to submit and how they want to approach it, and then we'll schedule it in due course on how they decide to present it.
Yeah,
So I think that at this point, we've had our sidewalk, and we have
Yeah.
information from what we saw, and that's it.
Yeah,
And
we
then
can
until they
schedule-
make the next move, then we have
Yeah.
nothing.
And maybe
But what is
just
it,
say
10 or-
it's a letter.
what I'm saying is-
Compliance.
if they wanna move it, I said to tentatively move this along. If we set the date and time for a public hearing, public information meeting, then we can go forward.
But then you're sending out notice to people for something that
Well,
they
all I'm saying is perhaps they want to take one approach or another and until they make the next submission.
Yeah, I don't have a
Whatever they want.
representative here, so I can't ask them.
So
I
if
know,
there's nothing
that's
to
what I'm
act
saying,
on,
so I don't know if they want to be, you know,
that's what he wants.
I'm not against any of it. I just think that it's really not our prerogative to decide what they're going to do
Yeah.
for
I'd
that.
say we just let Elizabeth talk to the DPW.
Okay.
Find out
there is.
what exactly they want
Yep.
changed or new drawings done or whatever.
And communicate with the
Yeah.
developer and let's go from there.
Okay,
I agree.
so we'll just leave it with a,
I'll give them a follow-up memo from this meeting.
yeah. So then we can open it, and then we can take inputs but just to let most of the people know, there's gonna be, if there are changes as far as lot size, road locations, or, that's not gonna, I don't see that changing.
That's not gonna change.
Okay, but there might be some drainage, new drainage
There's an
calculations.
email right here.
Huh?
There is,
Email right there.
Right,
from last week, last meeting.
so,
So let's just confirm everything up, and Elizabeth will reach out, and we'll go from there.
So we can open the other hearing then.
okay,
Yep.
so the motion would be from Sal is to have Elizabeth follow up with the applicant
Do you really
and the
There are
DPW.
two things before you make a motion. There was correspondence dated October 10th from a gentleman named Michael Gould.
Yep.
So I don't know if this gentleman's here tonight.
But again, that's a hearing.
And he was on the site.
He was there.
Had
He
addressed-
was on the sidewalk.
Had addressed his comments
Okay.
in the minutes.
So,
he read, so I
okay,
think
and
we're
then
good.
there's minutes from October 14th that have to be approved. Sidewalk minutes.
Oh. Oh, yeah,
That
that's
was
right, we gotta
that was a
approve.
public meeting.
Did you?
Okay. And I move to approve the minutes of October
Let's take-
14th.
I got a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the site walk. October 14th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Second, Mr.
Okay, then a motion would be in order
I don't know
to
that you need a motion.
refresh. Huh?
I don't know that you need a motion, she's just gonna follow.
No, if I have minutes, I have the,
They're approved or
that's done.
unapproved, just like regular, it was a regular meeting.
Yeah, no, that's done. That's done.
yeah.
That's okay.
Okay,
You need a motion to do it.
we'll move on.
It's a 6:45 meeting.
At 6:45. Here we go. Continue public hearing for definitive subdivision approval for Meadowlands at Willard Street, along the northerly side of Willard Street, including 671 Willard Street.
Chair, would you like a director's report?
What's that?
Would you like a verbal director's
Yes.
report? Essentially, we've been working on this project for about 10 months now, and you've gotten many pieces of correspondence from me. The most recent one was dated, the most recent detailed report was dated, I believe, April 30th. And The applicant responded back on October 3rd, addressing all of those items on that memo. And the only question outstanding was the width of the sidewalk on the subdivision site being 4 feet as a minor street, which is section 9.f.2. Or if you look under section 9H, it's different, it says 5 feet. And on the applicant is showing 4 feet on the plans that you have in front of you. At the last meeting, there were several items outstanding. They were looking at the cost of operation and maintenance plan to be reviewed by the DPW. That was done, and the DPW agreed that the estimate was appropriate. The operation and maintenance plan was also provided to a member of the public named Mr. Ed Himlin. You received that?
We did.
And then the board had asked the applicant to provide alternatives for access. In your packet, you have, that you received in the mail, you have 2 options. The layout is the same, so if you read the letter, it might be confusing if you first look at the plans because the layout is the same. The following sheets, the sequential sheets are different, and the applicant detailed in the memo what is different. And the board was to be given an option as to what preference the board has. And there were a couple of other minor things, but they've all been addressed in the applicant's letter. If you have any questions, we can go over those.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, for the record, Chris Anderson, Handy Engineering here at County Eagle LLC for a definitive subdivision. Like the director said, during the previous hearing, several concerns were raised by both the board and the public relative to the location of the roadway. In order to memorialize the review process that was done internally as part of the overall design of the project, we have provided an alternative roadway configuration that essentially moves the main entrance of the subdivision closer to the intersection of Crabtree. With the layout that's been provided, we're about 65 feet-ish from center line from Crabtree to the roadway entrance. This layout provides a equal number of building lines along with compliance with the various horizontal alignment requirements within ASHTO and within the subdivision regulations.
Chris, can you just hold it up or clip it to the top and work your way and show us the new location versus the old location so everybody else can see it as well? Thanks, Chris.
So the currently proposed roadway is located right through here, which provides the required offset from Crabtree Lane. The alternative layout is shaded. Roadway is essentially shaded on the plan with the new right-of-way coming along this general pattern, and it comes to a point about 65, 63 feet, center line to center line from Crabtree. So we're moving it as close as possible towards Crabtree and meeting the various horizontal requirements within the regulations. The issue arises, as we said during previous hearings, relative to the grading. So we provided 2 different layouts, or sorry, grading schemes for the altered horizontal alignment. The first one provides the required leveling area of 4% coming up to the intersection of the roadway with the appropriate vertical curves that are required by both the regulations and by ASHTO, and meeting the requirements that we have to deal with the power line easement, because we do have power line easement crossings that we have to maintain. General rule of thumb is with National Grid, it has to be at or below the existing grade that's currently there now. As we can make this center line pattern work appropriately with all the regulations. The issue arises with the intermediate roadway that connects connects the roadway and eliminates the dead end configuration. When we applied the leveling area of 4% approaching the roadway near the entrance onto Willard Street, we can maintain the 4% at the 100 feet that's required, but as we cross into the actual power line easement, we have a net fill of almost 7 feet. National Grid will not approve this as we need to get a consent agreement from them in order to make the crossing. So with that, we can't make it comply with National Grid's requirements. And furthermore, as we approach the intersection down in the lower portion of the site, again, we don't meet the 4% requirement for the 100 feet from that intersection. So we would require a waiver from the board for that. So this is alternate A. Alternate B follows the same general horizontal alignment. This configuration allows for meeting of the National Grid requirements, but we require substantial waivers and requests from the board, and would violate several of the components of ASHTO, which I'll go over momentarily. We would come off the roadway, have about 30 feet at 4%, and then have the appropriate curves coming down and meeting the grades across the power line easement for this roadway. So for this vertical curve or vertical datum, we would have to request a waiver from the leveling area at the intersection of Willard Street.
Meaning it's gonna be steeper at 30 feet versus at 100 feet.
The question I have on that, go back to that first one, or the first or second one, there's any difference. What happens anywhere there for that second access road?
The emergency access road?
Yeah,
That access road can be at a steeper grade because it's an emergency path, and it doesn't have to follow the requirements of ASHTO. It's not shown on this plan because we don't know where the houses will be going, and we should choose a more appropriate location for that.
If you change the layout of the cut road in between, right? If you moved it north or south.
And then we're getting too close to the power poles that are currently on the property.
Yeah, just wondering if the grade would differ if you shifted some of it?
Not substantially, no. Because you're still trying to fight that connection.
National Grid.
The significant issue becomes where we have that connecting road. Under this configuration, we cannot create a safe roadway connection between the two roads. One, we would have to request yet again another waiver for the 4% at the intersections of the two roadways. In addition, the vertical curvature that's required for ASHTO cannot be met. So this roadway would essentially become unsafe. And it's buildable, but we wouldn't be able to stamp in and give our certification and approvals as professional engineers for this, because it doesn't meet the requirements under ASHTO for all the curves in this. So this, as I said before, just memorializes the internal design review that we usually do when we do these kinds of projects for the board's review and the public's review. So, as you can see, alternate locations don't quite necessarily work. During this review process, we met with the DPW to review the existing conditions on Willard Street itself.
Let's do the other one first.
We've reviewed the existing conditions within Willard Street itself. So currently, right in front of the proposed roadway system, the roadway width is around 20 to 22 feet wide, and narrows as you go further east along Willard Street towards Central to a maximum or minimum width of 18 feet, which is located right next to a large tree that's within the right of way of the road. And from there, it kind of gradually expands back out. We reviewed this with DPW, and general agreement was made that the tree is dying, or is dying, and needs to be removed regardless of whether this project moves forward or not, and DPW is aware of that. We reviewed what can be done, and it was decided that a widening of the road is a more apt process rather than relocating the road, because we can eliminate the safety issues that are currently on the property, or currently within the right of way of the road. Under the proposed condition, we would essentially widen the road to be 24 feet wide, along the entire length from the intersection of the roadway to where right away for Technology Drive would be essentially the access road right now for the cell tower in that area.
I've just handed out, Bill Haney for the record, I just handed out these drawings in a smaller format, just so you can kind of see them a little bit more easily. They also show vehicles on them, a truck heading in one direction and 2 cars heading in the other. Where the tree is right now is kind of a pinch point on the project, and so by the widening that Chris is going to describe, we would be taking down that tree and removing that pinch point in Willard Street. And you can see on the second sheet of what I'm handing out that there's a lot more room for both vehicles to pass in both directions. It goes from 9-foot lanes to 12-foot lanes in that area, which is a significant improvement. Our thought on this is that instead of moving the entrance to the subdivision further towards Crabtree to create another potential conflict, that we would be doing more good by fixing the problem along Willard Street instead of just moving it away from the problem in Willard Street. So that's really kind of the intent of the widening process, in line with what the board was saying about making it better. Moving it towards Crabtree may make it better because we're getting away from the pinch point, but it doesn't eliminate the problem of the pinch point on the road, where this proposal of widening the road would eliminate that problem.
Bill, who does the work on widening the road? Would that be
There was,
to include finished paving and
Yeah,
everything?
we talked to the DPW about the construction parameters of that. We would draw up a separate plan that would detail that once the board approved at least the widening plan, so we knew what we were doing. That would be all part of the pre-construction requirements of DPW, be part of the bonding requirement relative to the subdivision approval. All that would be part of be included in that requirement.
And that's all prior to starting to cut into and do the infrastructure on the project?
I think it probably would be concurrent with that, but it would be definitely before building permits would be issued.
And it'd just be with a binder coat until everything's completed? Or,
oh, no,
On the street,
Not on Willard?
on Willard, what we would,
that's,
right, on Willard, what we would do
right.
is we agreed that we would do a saw cut 2 feet inside the pavement expansion. We would put binder down, and then we would top and seal for the widening to be completed. But as part of the overall project, we also be digging in Willard for connections to water, sewer, and other utilities, et cetera. So there'd be some other construction going along in Willard. We'd wait till we were done in Willard to do the final paving of the portion of Willard Street. And we would do that, and then we do binder on our property, but we get Willard Street completed before we put. Well, it depends upon how DPW wants us to do the utilities. But I think with these, we can pull the water off, pull the sewer off, widen the road to binder. Probably, I would think we would do the final paving of the widening, but we would wait on the trench work to go through one winter season before we finalize the second patch on that area there. Okay.
How about utility pole, electric poles, any of those coming down as part of the
We have to
widening?
move, nope, there's 4 or 5 other trees aside from the big tree coming down. We looked at all the trees when we were out there on site. There are no electrical poles that need to be removed due to the widening. There's one electrical pole needed to be moved because of the subdivision entrance.
okay.
But that's on our side of the road.
And all of this work is in the current right-of-way?
Correct,
Okay,
including grading.
okay.
There'd be a couple of mailboxes would need to be moved, but nothing significant.
And it's not on anybody's, it's not infringing on anybody else's land?
No, it's all within the public right of way.
That was the question.
Yeah. So if you look at the lower side of Willard Street, sorry Chris for stealing your presentation, but the lower property line of Willard Street, what we did was we offset that by 10 feet, and that would be where the new edge of pavement would be. And then we went 24 feet across from that to meet up with the other side. So in many areas, we might have 25 or 26 feet for that when we're done. But that will make it easier for our guys to stake it out and build it if we know we're going 10 feet from that property line. That gives us 10 feet between the edge of pavement and the existing vegetation and lawn areas to kind of transition that work. And like I said, this resolves that problem because now it takes the pinch point of the road out of the equation.
Which is exactly where the
Okay.
location was.
How about sidewalks out there?
There are no sidewalks out there. There's one on
There's one coming
Crabtree.
on Crabtree, isn't there?
Yeah.
Doesn't really go anywhere. We probably could hook that across the street to our sidewalk. We probably could bring, because I think we have a turn on our sidewalk, which actually is right across the street from that sidewalk, so we probably could,
Okay.
put like a ramp system there and maybe create one on the one that's on the Crabtree side, so you can get from one side to the other. That obviously wouldn't be a bad location for a bus stop either. So that might be something that we could incorporate into that corner on our side, depending on, I guess, the bus is probably going to be going west to east, so it might be that we do something on the other side of the road, but we can probably work that out within the plan that we're working with DPW. The sidewalk is it's within a, if you look on the other side of the street, it's partially on the property and partially in the right-of-way, but there's a sidewalk easement over in that area for sidewalk utilities, so we could actually construct a bus stop on that side of the road, which may actually work better, because that's the direction that people will be getting, kids will be getting picked up in the morning. You know, put a crosswalk in that area, et cetera. That would actually be a good add.
Okay. So that would be a crosswalk and a bus stop.
So the sidewalks would go how far, what would be the length of the sidewalks? Are we looking like,
Well, it's only in the
No, the
front.
it's
sidewalk,
only in the front?
we're not adding any sidewalk, we're just adding a crosswalk and a handicap accessible.
When you curve, you show a sidewalk coming in and you curve.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we would just basically create the mechanism to be able to go from one side to the other with a crosswalk. We could talk to the school department about what side of the street they would want the bus stop on.
Right now it comes from Sterling.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Actually, one goes one way, one goes the other, so.
I was gonna say it's both ways.
Depends upon what time of day it is.
Yeah, where the most kids are, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how
A
many,
lot of kids.
yeah, well, there's 24, how many houses on Crabtree, anybody know?
Eight.
8? Yeah, so probably there's gonna be more on the other, more kids on the other side for that, so.
Wait, if anybody's talking, they have to say their name.
What's that?
If anyone's from the audience is talking, then just say their name.
Okay, yeah.
See what
Do
they
you have any
say.
other questions? Do you have anything else you wish to add?
Nope.
Okay, I'll open up to the audience. Do I have any comments from the audience? Okay, who's first? Back there, Counselor?
Couple of things. First of all, I want to go on record as saying that I'm not in favor of having any work done on Willard Street until we have a traffic study. And I know that it was mentioned at a past meeting that we can't make them do anything to the width of the traffic or anything on Willard Street, but I actually found case law here, and I sent a copy to the planning director, and I also have a paper copy that says otherwise based on case law. And also, too, there's another thing I want to touch upon, which is procedure. I know that the planning director mentioned at the last meeting, and I have a copy here of Chapter 39, Section 23D of Mass General Law. And it says, Section 23D-A, notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary upon municipal acceptance of this section, which this was accepted by the city of Leominster on June 27th, 2011, of one or more types of adjudicatory hearings, a member of any municipal board, committee, or commission, when holding an adjudicatory hearing, shall not be qualified from voting in the matter solely due to the member's absence from no more than a single session of the hearing at which testimony or other evidence is received. Before any such vote, the member shall certify in writing that he has examined all evidence received at the missed session, which evidence shall include an audio or video recording of the missed session or a transcript thereof. The written certification shall be part of the record of the hearing. Nothing in this section shall change, replace, negate, or otherwise supersede applicable quorum requirements. So basically what that says is you have to file in writing that you reviewed all that. I'm assuming that that has been done.
We understand that.
Also, I believe if you miss 2 or more meetings, you can't participate at all in any meeting. That includes running the meeting. It also includes swaying the vote, being part of discussion. If you're not voting, you have a conflict of interest and you can't be part of the meeting. So I just want to, you know, I think there's one member that can't vote, so they shouldn't be part of the discussion under the law. If you can't vote, you shouldn't be discussing it either. So, you know, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but I think somebody should check with the whole page, because I don't think you can participate in any way, shape, or form if you can't vote.
I don't know. Okay. I will not be voting. I had no intention of voting. But my understanding is that I can run the meeting. Okay, I cannot make, and I have not made comments, pro or con, okay, on the discussion. I do not discuss, okay, and have not discussed. I'll bring somebody's direction in and bring them forward, but I may have had no discussion, okay? Now, if you want to take and disqualify me, okay, you may bring that up, okay? It wouldn't accomplish anything. So, it's up to you.
Oh, it's up to you.
No, I don't. I think that I've discussed, what I've been told is that I could run the meeting. I've done it for years, okay? And, but I couldn't be involved with the discussion, and I'm not.
You're asking
Okay.
questions.
What's that?
You ask questions back and forth. You're involved in the discussion.
Mr. Chair, if I may request on behalf of my client, because of the fact that we've put a lot of time and effort into the project to get it to where it is, if we could have KP Law take a look at this item and
if we could look at
a
it.
decision, because we don't want to be subject to an appeal due to a technicality. We would wish to continue to the next meeting.
Until the final.
And if we can get this resolved. This is a serious issue that we need to have an answer to. We can't just say we think this is what we think. I think that our best bet is to get KP Law involved.
And I have to admit, I don't know the answer to that. I have to refer to KP Law.
And it can reoccur, so we should give an answer.
Right. I'd rather be safe than sorry and find out now versus being in court trying to figure it out. I'd rather find it ahead of time and be done with it.
Makes sense.
Let's do that, John. That's smart.
Well, sure.
November
We
4th.
request the hearing be continued to the next available meeting.
It'll be the 18th. November 4th has 1, 2, 3,
That'd be the 18th.
6 hearings already on the
That's
4th.
fine.
So you want to know?
Is,
I would like it to be a date
Can't be here
that
on
all
the
members are available.
Who cannot be here the 18th?
that's a Monday, and it's
18th.
We have a quorum on the 18th?
yeah.
Then
Make it a-
we have availability on the 18th. Sure.
So 6:40, what?
Well, let's, we have
At
to, we have
6:40,
to continue this hearing
6:40 or
first.
6:45.
And then
Let's do 6:40.
we have to continue the hearing first.
That's what he
That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Make a motion.
I'll
Second Fred's motion.
Yep.
Okay, at that point, I have a motion to continue the hearing.
And do you want staff to be directed to research
Yeah.
with KP Law into the matter at hand?
Yes.
Have a motion made and seconded, continued. By that motion.
Yeah, we had it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we continue to the 18th.
That was such
No.
All right, 6.2.
I gotta go with 6.2.
I would defer that we postpone that to the November 4th meeting, if we may.
November 4th.
November 4th.
Okay, that'll be 6:30.
It's not a hearing.
It's just on the
It's just
communication.
communications.
All right.
Works.
The director's report?
You get a verbal director's report instead of a written. I prefer to give you a written one, but sometimes it's a verbal. I just wanted to let the board know that staff has been working very hard. I've had great staff support from Ms. Witten, and I've been going full speed ahead. We are extremely busy in our department. If anybody wants to know at any time what we're working on, I have any member of the board or the public can come in and we can brief you on everything that we're doing in the department. We had a fortunate circumstance of me being able to go to Springfield. Last week, I went to a conference and I learned quite a bit. Items I want to be bringing back to the board later in the year, but not tonight, as there is a Patriots game. So I will respect that,
That many items.
and I will provide follow-up at a later date.
Good job.
Thank you.
What was the conference about?
Yeah. It was SNEPA, which is, I'm gonna get the acronym wrong, it's Southern New England Chapter of the American Planning Association. And there were 3 states there, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, and it was in Massachusetts, so it's a big deal. And I suggest, there's an article in Planning Magazine that I'm gonna forward to the board, and I encourage you to read it, talking about the renaissance of Springfield and all of the development that their planning board has done and their economic development department has done. And I think similarly, Leominster has done quite a bit with their economic development and with their planning over the years. And I'd like to work with the board on perhaps writing an article on what Leominster has done and maybe get Leominster some notoriety in a national magazine.
That's
We
great.
can.
Sounds good.
If we don't, they don't publish it, they don't, but I think we can at least
Way
give it a
more
go.
advanced than Springfield, so that's good.
I think we can give it a go.
Okay.
Even with.
Awesome. So they still have it.
Do we have anything else anybody wishes to bring up?
Sal, you're up.
I thought you got to say executive session on.
No executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Fine anyways.
Nice.
Have a motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both say no, motion carries.